Hey everybody, Mike from C&M Aquatics here, and today we're going to be talking about the dwarf pufferfish, one of my favorite fish to keep. The dwarf puffer, Latin name Carinotetrodon travanacoricus, was first recorded in 1941. Found naturally in freshwater rivers and wetlands across southwest India, they can also be found from Sri Lanka to Indonesia and north to China. In the wild, they eat zooplankton, benthic crustaceans, mollusks, small insects, and sand has even been found in the stomach of wild puffers from eating bottom-dwelling animals. Other names include pea puffer, pygmy puffer, Malabar puffer, Malabar dwarf puffer, blue-eyed dwarf puffer, marble puffer, bumblebee puffer, Indian Malabar pufferfish, Abani puffer, BB puffer, and sea frog. Though first recorded in 1941, the dwarf puffer was not available to the United States hobby until the late 90s. In 1991, a color variation of this species was discovered. It's called the dwarf imitation puffer. This fish is thought to have been accidentally imported with a batch of dwarf puffers. Dwarf imitator puffer is distinguished by having blue spots rather than black. Alright, so some general keeping information for the dwarf puffer. It's a tropical freshwater fish, very territorial and very aggressive. Minimum 5 gallons, just one though for 5 gallons. They live to be about 4 years of age. They reach about 1.4 inches in length. The pH recommended is 6.5 to 7. The recommended temperature is 77 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Captivity diet includes live snails like small bladder, ram's horn, and Malaysian trumpet snails. They also enjoy frozen bloodworms, krill, and brine shrimp. They have to be fed twice a day, and they also enjoy heavily planted tanks. They like to hide and rest. Another side note, their tiny size and 4-year lifespan, amongst other factors, has caused the popularity of this species to skyrocket over the past few decades. Unfortunately, this has resulted in the rise of wild-caught specimens and has caused this species to be listed as vulnerable to extinction. That is why it is important to source your fish from a local pet store that gets them from a local breeder. Behavior of the dwarf pufferfish. Males are super aggressive and should only be by themselves or with females. In my case, I keep one by himself in a 10-gallon. You can probably get away with 1 male and 2 females if you have enough tall plants to block their line of sight and provide enough hiding space. Unlike many types of puffer which are solitary, dwarf puffers can be found in groups or shoals in the wild. In captivity, if you're going to keep multiple, it is recommended to have 1 male with a few females. This will discourage fighting and encourage breeding. Tank mates that people have had success with are ottos, coley loaches, and occasionally shrimp. Those shrimp aren't recommended. Dwarf puffers will go after them. They hang out in all areas of the tank. They can be found chilling in the plants or out in the open scavenging for food. These fish are really smart. They pay close attention to their surroundings within the tank, and they closely watch what you do outside of the tank. Appearance of the dwarf puffer. Dwarf pea puffers got their name from their incredibly small size. Maximum size reaching only 1.4 inches, making them one of the world's smallest puffer fish. Their body is round, tapering to a thin dorsal end. Their eyes stand out for being large in comparison to the rest of their body. Females and males do differ in appearance, making them relatively easy to sex as they mature. Males have a bright yellow belly compared to the lighter yellow-white bellies of females. Males also possess a dark stripe on their belly, which the females do not. Males are typically a darker golden-green coloration, where females are a lighter yellow-green. Now, both males and females have dark patches on the upper side of the body. However, males have a thick, dark stripe which runs from the pectoral fin to the caudal fin, and females have tiny random black spots all over their body. Dwarf puffers, tank, and habitat. In the wild, dwarf puffers are found in lakes and estuaries across southwest India. The conditions of the water vary from body to body, with the pH ranging from 6.5 to 8.5 and an average water temperature of 77 degrees Fahrenheit. These fish are sometimes found in slightly brackish estuaries. However, they are not a brackish water fish. You should not keep dwarf puffers in brackish water in your home tank. In the wild, for sunlight, they get about 12 hours during the summer, and during the winter, 10.5 hours. These fish prefer to occupy slow-flowing rivers and still lake water, especially the banks. There's plenty of plant life for them to hide from predators, and it is in these heavily planted areas where the smart tiny puffer does most of their hunting. In your aquarium, you will need fresh water at 77 to 79 degrees Fahrenheit. The pH of the water should be kept at 6.5 to 7. A low flow filter is recommended so these little guys don't get blown around. The minimum size of aquarium recommended for a dwarf puffer is a 5-gallon tank. A breeding setup should be 20 gallons, which will provide plenty of space for one male to be housed with 3 females. For every 5 gallons of water your aquarium holds, you should only house 1 pea puffer. As far as the substrate goes, the substrate should be either a coarse sand or small particle gravel, which will allow room for plant roots to spread. When it comes to plants, the more the merrier, especially if you have multiple fish. The more plants you provide gives the fish more spaces to hunt, hide, and rest. In the event of tank mates, it will also act as a line of sight blocker. The pea puffer diet. Within an aquarium, try to feed a diet of live and frozen foods such as bloodworms, brine shrimp, cyclops, small shrimps, and snails. The occasional algae wafer could be added, but they probably won't be eaten. Try to feed your dwarf puffer twice a day, preferably in the morning and evening. They are very intelligent fish and will soon recognize you entering the room, which can signal to them they are about to be fed. They may appear to be hungry, but stick to an amount of food that they can consume within 3 minutes of being placed into the tank to avoid overfeeding them. Overfeeding can lead to spikes in the nitrate levels, which can increase unwanted algae growth. Tank mates. Now in the wild, this species can be found in river systems with freshwater fish like filament barbs, longfin barbs, parrotfish, Malabar leaf fish, and orange chromide. So while it is possible to keep them in a community tank, we recommend keeping them in a species-only aquarium due to their territorial and aggressive behavior. If you do choose to keep them in a community tank, then be sure to keep them in a small, fast-swimming species tank with other fish like ember tetras, neon tetras, glowing tetras, filament barbs, mosquito rasbora, zebra danios, leopard danios, harlequin rasbora, dwarf ottos, or Siamese algae eaters. Dwarf puffer care. Dwarf puffers are known for nipping and being aggressive towards one another, so it's only a matter of time until an injury occurs. This is why you should keep males separate. Accidentally placing one or more male into your aquarium can lead to them fighting and small chunks of flesh being taken out, which provides the ideal location for bacterial or fungal infections. Firstly, to avoid this situation, try to sex your fish as early as you can. Any injured fish should be immediately placed in a separate tank for the correct antibacterial or antifungal treatment. As with most tropical fish, when temperature levels within the aquarium drop, this can cause the fish's immune system to also drop, which leaves them prone to diseases like the ick infection. White spot or ick treatments are available in most, if not all, local fish stores and can even be purchased online. The best treatments to use for ick are any which have a copper sulfate or formalin base. Because dwarf puffers are such messy eaters, it is essential to perform weekly gravel cleans to remove any leftover food, shells, or parasitic spores using a gravel vacuum. Breeding dwarf puffers. Breeding dwarf puffer fish is a relatively easy process provided you keep the water temperature around 79 degrees Fahrenheit. A 5-gallon tank is suitable for one male to be bred with one female. However, if you want to increase the number of females, that tank size has to be bumped up to 20 gallons. It is not mandatory to have a separate breeding tank though, because they will breed in your main aquarium. Heavily planted tanks are a must, as males will chase the females around until she is ready to breed. At this point, the female will lead the male into amongst the plants to spawn. After spawning, the fry will hatch out of their eggs in around 48 hours. Once the fry have completely absorbed their egg yolk, around 2 to 3 days, you should begin feeding a mix of live infusoria and newly hatched brine shrimp to encourage a fast growth rate. A sponge filter is recommended so there is little to no water flow, otherwise the fry could be sucked into the filter. Is the dwarf puffer fish right for you? I think they're amazing. You just have to keep on top of the feeding of frozen and live food and cleaning it up afterwards. So it's a little responsibility, and if you're up to the task, I think the reward is amazing. They're really intelligent, they're really smart, they'll track you around the tank when you come into the room, they'll come to say hi, and it's really fun to watch them hunt. If you have the resources and the space and the time to dedicate a tank to one species, I would say go for it and pick yourself up a dwarf puffer from your local fish store. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. You can keep up to date with our new videos. We should be trying to do one every week. You can now follow us on Twitter as well at AquaticsCNM and Instagram at CNM_aquatics. See ya!